Kai lived on the mining colony of Vert9. It was not a place of comfort, but it was home. The colony hung on the edge of a gas giant, with towers that reached into the clouds and tunnels that burrowed deep beneath the surface. Life was hard, but Kai had a purpose. He repaired machines, fixed broken tools, and kept the colony running. His work was respected, though he was not the strongest or the fastest. Kai's strength lay in his mind, not his muscles, and he often thought that might be enough to survive anything. The sky turned red one morning, a color that did not belong to Vertanin. Shadows of ships appeared above the colony. They were not the ships of friendly traders or explorers. They were sleek, black, and deadly, bristling with weapons. Kai watched as they descended, sending waves of panic across the settlement. The colony guards fought bravely, but they were no match. Aliens of different shapes and sizes poured from the ships, taking control quickly. Kai hid behind machinery, clutching his wrench like it could protect him from blaster fire. He was captured along with dozens of other colonists. They were loaded onto ships and transported across the stars. The journey was long and silent. Everyone feared what awaited them, whispering rumors of cruel fates and impossible arenas. Kai's heart pounded. He thought about his family, about his friends, and about all the work he had left unfinished. He had never been in real danger before, and fear now felt heavy and endless. When the ship docked, Kai's eyes widened at what he saw. The structure before them was enormous, circular, and filled with lights and metal platforms. He realized quickly that this was no ordinary prison. This was an arena built to entertain and terrify. Aliens and humans alike had been brought here to fight. Some captives were dragged into cages, while others were forced to march to open battle pits. The ground shook with every step of enormous creatures moving above. Kai's turn came faster than he expected. Guards pushed him into a circular platform surrounded by high walls. The audience sat far above, watching silently at first. Then they roared as the next opponent appeared. The gates opened, revealing a towering figure. She was over 12 feet tall, with muscles that seemed carved from stone and eyes that burned with a strange intensity. Her skin shimmered faintly under the lights, a mix of silver and green. She carried no weapon, yet her presence was terrifying. Kai could feel the ground tremble under her weight. The crowd screamed. Some cheered, others hissed. Every gladiator in the arena knew her name, Zara. She had fought hundreds of opponents and had never been defeated. Even the fiercest creatures had fallen before her. Now, she stood mere feet from Kai, and he knew he was expected to fight. His hand shook, and he felt the wrench slip slightly from his grip. He was human, ordinary, and weak compared to her. Zara looked at him carefully. Her head tilted slightly, as if studying him like a puzzle. Kai felt exposed, but there was something strange in her gaze. She did not attack immediately. Instead, she circled him slowly, her movements fluid and precise. Every eye in the arena watched. Even the guards and alien spectators paused, sensing something unusual. Kai tried to think. Running was impossible. Fighting seemed certain death. He remembered the stories of others who had faced her. None had survived. His heart raced, and yet a small thought sparked in his mind. What if she did not want to kill him? What if there was a choice beyond fear? Zara stopped in front of him. Her eyes held his for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice deep and resonant, but somehow calm. She said one word. Why? Kai was stunned. No one had ever spoken to him like this in the arena. He swallowed hard and replied, I am not a fighter. I only want to live. The silence that followed was deafening. The crowd waited for the attack, for the fight that would end in blood. But Zara did not strike. She studied him again, and her massive hand hovered over him briefly as if deciding. Then, slowly, she stepped back. The audience gasped. No one had ever seen Zara show mercy. Kai could hardly believe it. The gates opened, and Zara did not push him out. Instead, she lifted him easily off the ground, holding him with a grip that was firm but not painful. The audience erupted in confusion and disbelief. Whispers filled the arena. Some aliens muttered in surprise. Others laughed nervously. Kai's heart pounded in a mixture of fear and awe. Zara carried him toward a raised platform at the edge of the arena. She set him down carefully and then stood before the crowd. She raised one arm, signaling that the battle was over. The noise from the audience became deafening. The aliens in the stands did not understand her choice. The humans could hardly believe their eyes. Kai realized something important. Zara had spared him. She had not just saved his life, she had made him special. She did not call him a prisoner. She called him her prize. Kai's mind struggled to grasp the meaning. He was not a warrior. He was not brave or strong in the traditional sense. Yet here he was, chosen by the most feared gladiator in the galaxy. That night, Kai was placed in a small chamber near Zara's quarters. He had never been so close to someone so powerful. He could hear her moving in the room next door, preparing, stretching, practicing. Despite her fearsome reputation, there was a rhythm and grace to her actions. Kai understood then that she was more than a gladiator. She was a being of intelligence, honor, and strength combined. Kai could not sleep. He kept thinking about the arena, about the towering alien who had spared him, and about what might come next. Questions filled his mind. Why had she chosen him? What did it mean to be her prize? And most importantly, how could he survive in a place where death was expected at every turn? Morning came with the same harsh light of the arena. Guards arrived to escort him, but Zara appeared in the corridor, blocking the way. She looked at him and nodded, almost approvingly. She spoke again, simply, "Follow me." Kai obeyed, walking beside a being who could crush him without effort. He felt fear, yes, but also something new, a sense of hope. For the first time since arriving, he realized that survival might not be enough. Maybe he could make a difference. Maybe he could change the rules of the games. They entered a vast training hall, filled with other prisoners and alien warriors. Some glared at Kai, some laughed, and some simply stared in awe. Zara guided him to a quiet corner. She instructed him to observe, to learn, and to understand the rhythms of combat without participating. Kai was clumsy at first, but he noticed patterns. The way the guards moved, the way the crowd reacted, the way Zara could anticipate attacks before they came. Days passed. Kai learned to move with the crowd, to blend in, and to use his mind to stay alive. Zara watched him closely, offering advice in short, precise words. She showed him how to read the intentions of opponents and how to protect himself without fighting. Kai discovered that survival in this arena was not about strength alone. It was about strategy, intelligence, and respect for the rules of the fight. One evening, after the exercises, Zara spoke to him quietly. "The queen watches everything. She cannot be fooled for long. You must be ready for the games that come next." Kai listened carefully, knowing that he had only begun to understand the danger he faced. The alien queen ruled with cunning and cruelty. Every decision mattered, and every mistake could be fatal. Kai realized that his life was no longer his own. He was part of a larger story, one that involved courage, intelligence, and the guidance of a warrior unlike any he had ever met. Zara had spared him, yes, but she had also chosen him to learn, to grow, perhaps to stand beside her in the challenges ahead. Night fell again. Kai stared out through the window of his chamber. The stars stretched endlessly, and he thought of Vertaine, of his family, and of the life he had left behind. Fear remained, but it was tempered by a new feeling. He was not alone. He had been chosen, and for the first time, he believed that even a human could matter in a universe filled with creatures far stronger than himself. Kai drifted into a restless sleep, dreaming of the arena, of the towering gladiator, and of the adventures that awaited. He did not know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew that he would face it with Zara by his side. And that thought, strange as it seemed, gave him strength. The arena was vast, dangerous, and unforgiving. But in the shadow of the 12-foot alien gladiator, Kai felt a spark of hope. His journey had only begun, and the universe was about to reveal that courage. Intelligence and trust could survive even in the harshest of places. Kai woke to the faint hum of the space station. The light was dim, filtered through panels that stretched across the ceiling. he had slept fitfully. His dreams filled with shadows of the arena and the towering figure of Zara. The thought of her presence comforted him. Even though she was terrifying, she had spared him. That choice alone gave him hope. He stepped from the small chamber and found Zara waiting. She stood easily, stretching her long limbs, her eyes focused and alert. Kai felt small beside her. Her height, her strength, and the way she carried herself made him aware of his own fragility. He wondered if he would ever truly belong here, in a place where every moment could bring death. "Follow me," Zara said, her voice steady. It was a command, but it carried no malice. Kai obeyed without hesitation. They walked through corridors lined with cages and observation decks. Prisoners of all shapes and sizes moved through the hallways. Some were human, like Kai, while others were creatures he had never seen before. Some had sharp claws, some had wings, and some had skin that shimmered like metal. All were prisoners, and all had been forced into the games. Zara stopped in front of a wide chamber. Inside, several other gladiators trained, their movements sharp and precise. The air smelled of metal and sweat. Kai noticed the pattern in their movements. Each fighter had a rhythm. Each attack was measured. Zara stepped forward, guiding him to a corner where he could watch without being in the way. "Observe," she said. "The games are not just about strength. They are about understanding your opponent and your surroundings. Learn that first." Kai nodded. He watched as the fighters moved. Some were brutal, striking with incredible power, while others used speed and agility to avoid attacks. He realized quickly that Zara's skill was unmatched. Even from across the room, he could see the control she had over her body, the precision in every movement. She was not only strong, but intelligent. She understood balance, timing, and strategy. Days passed in a blur of observation and quiet training. Kai began to notice small things. The guards had patterns. The machines that controlled the arenas had weaknesses. The prisoners, if they worked together, could create opportunities for survival. Kai shared these thoughts cautiously with Zara, and she listened, nodding occasionally. Her approval was subtle, but it meant more to him than he could explain. One afternoon, a group of prisoners approached them. They were humans, like Kai, and they looked both wary and curious. "You are the human she spared," one said. His voice was low, almost a whisper. "Why? You are not a fighter." Kai shrugged. "I do not know. She chose me." Another prisoner laughed bitterly. "Chosen? You think that means safety? You are in her arena now. Safety does not exist here." Kai felt a chill, but Zara stepped forward, her massive frame casting a shadow over the group. "He survives because I allow it," she said. "He is learning. That is enough for now. Interfere, and you will regret it." The prisoners fell silent. Even in this place, where fear was constant, they understood that Zara was not to be challenged lightly. Kai felt a surge of gratitude. He was small, weak, and inexperienced, but she had given him a chance. He would not squander it. As the days turned into weeks, Kai and Zara developed a routine. He observed, learned, and sometimes helped with small tasks. Zara explained things about the station that Kai could never have guessed. The Queen's influence reached every corner. Surveillance was constant. Guards were loyal to her alone. Even the other gladiators had little freedom. Kai's mind worked constantly. He began making mental maps of the station, noting the weak points and the patterns of the guards. He realized that survival might not be enough. If they were to escape or challenge the Queen, they would need a plan. One evening, Zara led Kai to a quieter part of the station. The corridors here were narrow and less patrolled. She stopped in front of a small observation window that overlooked the arena. Below, the next match was being prepared. Two prisoners were forced to fight creatures twice their size. The humans tried to dodge, but they were overwhelmed quickly. Kai's stomach twisted. He had never seen death up close before. The creatures struck with speed and strength that made the humans' attempts futile. And yet, he noticed something subtle. The creatures, though powerful, had predictable behavior. Their movements could be anticipated. Patterns existed, even in chaos. Zara spoke softly. You see the truth? Strength alone does not win. Awareness, timing, and choice win. Remember this. Kai nodded. The lesson was harsh but clear. He had been lucky to survive once. Luck would not protect him again. He needed to learn, to grow, and to adapt. The next day, Zara introduced him to a small group of other prisoners who had been spared for various reasons. They were humans, aliens, and hybrids. Some had unique skills, mechanical, strategic, or technical. Zara made it clear that cooperation was necessary. Survival was not just about individual strength, but about shared knowledge and planning. Kai began to contribute. He repaired broken equipment, found weaknesses in the station's machinery, and quietly observed the guards' habits. Zara watched his progress with a critical eye, but also with approval. His contributions were small, but they were noticed. Slowly, he began to feel a sense of belonging. One evening, as Kai worked on repairing a control panel, Zara approached him. She was quiet for a moment, her massive frame looming over him. You are learning quickly, she said, but the Queen will notice. Do not underestimate her intelligence or her cruelty. She watches everything. Even small actions matter. Kai swallowed hard. He had felt the danger before, but hearing it from Zara made it real. Every step, every decision could have consequences. He could not rely on chance. He had to be precise, careful, and clever. Days later, an unexpected event tested them. A group of guards brought in a new prisoner, a human, much like Kai. The newcomer was strong, confident, and arrogant. He laughed at Kai when he saw him. You survived her? The man sneered. Lucky fool. You will see what happens next. Zara stepped forward, her eyes blazing. He survives because I choose. You will follow my rules, or you will not survive at all. The man fell silent. Even his strength could not match Zara's presence. Kai realized that fear and respect were two sides of the same coin in this place. Courage alone was not enough. Knowledge, timing, and alliances were equally important. Kai spent the following days teaching the new prisoner how to observe, how to survive, and how to understand the rules of the arena. He was no fighter, but his mind had value. Zara had chosen him not for strength alone, but for intelligence and insight. This was a new way of thinking for Kai. He began to see that humans had a different kind of power as the training continued. Kai and Zara's bond deepened. She trusted him to think, to plan, and to notice details that she could not. He trusted her to protect him, guide him, and show him the ways of the arena. They were no longer simply prisoner and gladiator. They were partners, in a sense that Kai had never experienced before. One evening, as they walked along the observation deck overlooking the city of the station, Kai spoke quietly. Why me? Why not someone stronger, faster, braver? Zara looked at him, her eyes thoughtful. Strength is easy. Many have it. Intelligence, awareness, and courage under fear are rare. You have these things even if you do not see them yet. Kai felt a mixture of pride and humility. He was ordinary in many ways, yet Zara had seen something in him. That recognition was more powerful than any physical skill. It gave him confidence even in the shadow of danger. The following weeks brought more challenges. Kai observed matches, helped with repairs, and learned from Zara. He discovered that the arena was not random. Every match, every fight, every spectacle was controlled, and every pattern could be studied. The more he learned, the more he realized that survival depended on understanding the bigger picture. One day, while repairing a conduit near the arena, Kai overheard guards talking about the Queen's plans. She intended to increase the number of matches, pit the strongest prisoners against each other, and tighten control over the station. The knowledge was dangerous, but vital. Kai shared it with Zara, who nodded, her expression serious. This is why observation matters, she said. Every piece of information can save lives. Remember it. Kai worked tirelessly, not just for himself, but for all the prisoners who had no choice, no ally, and no chance. He felt a growing responsibility. He was no longer just a survivor. He was part of a plan, a strategy, and a team that could challenge the cruelty around them. By the end of the second month, Kai had changed. Fear was still present, but it no longer controlled him. He had learned to anticipate danger, to use his mind to stay alive, and to trust Zara completely. She had become his guide, protector, and mentor. And in the shadow of her enormous frame, Kai began to understand the power of unlikely alliances. The arena would demand more from him soon, but he felt ready. Not because he was strong, not because he was brave, but because he had learned the rules of survival. He had an ally in Zara, intelligence to guide him, and a growing understanding that even in the most dangerous places, humans could matter, could adapt, and could rise above fear. Kai looked up at the stars beyond the station. The universe was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. But with Zara at his side, he no longer felt powerless. Together, they would face whatever came next, ready to challenge the odds and discover what humans could truly. Kai had been on the station for weeks now, and every day brought new lessons. He had learned to observe, to anticipate, and to stay alive, but nothing had prepared him for what he was about to discover. The Queen was not just a ruler. She was a master of manipulation. Her reach extended further than Kai had imagined. Zara approached him one morning, her eyes narrowed. "We must move carefully," she said. "The Queen is not only watching the arena. She is watching the halls, the machines, the thoughts of those who serve her. Nothing escapes her attention." Kai listened carefully. He had suspected that the Queen had spies, but the reality was far more dangerous. Every corridor, every chamber, every device could carry her awareness. He realized that even small mistakes could put them in mortal danger. Survival alone was no longer enough. Strategy was required. Zara led him through the quieter sections of the station. The corridors were narrow, metal panels lining the walls, and lights casting sharp shadows. Guards patrolled regularly, but Zara moved with ease, blending into the shadows despite her massive size. Kai followed, his heart pounding with anticipation and fear. At last, they reached a hidden chamber. Zara paused and gestured for Kai to look through a reinforced window. Below them, a grand hall stretched into the distance. The alien queen sat on a raised platform, her posture commanding. Around her, advisors, guards, and technicians moved efficiently, obeying her silently. Her eyes swept across the hall, and Kai felt a chill. He understood now why Zara had been so careful. The Queen was everywhere, yet nowhere at the same time. "She controls everything," Zara whispered. "Every match, every movement, every rule comes from her, and she uses fear as her weapon. Strength alone cannot challenge her. Intelligence alone cannot defeat her. You must understand her methods before we act." Kai studied the Queen silently. He noticed patterns in her commands, subtle gestures that caused entire groups to act instantly. He realized that the Queen thrived on control and manipulation. Even the most capable guards acted only as extensions of her will. The station was not just a prison. It was a machine, and she was the mind that drove it. Over the following days, Kai worked with Zara and a small group of trusted prisoners. They moved carefully, repairing broken systems and observing guard behavior. Every detail mattered. The Queen's influence was strong, but not absolute. Systems could be disrupted, schedules altered, and guards diverted if they acted with precision. Kai's mind, trained in engineering and observation, became a valuable asset. One evening, as they reviewed the station's schematics, Zara spoke quietly. "There is a place she does not fully control, at least not without effort. The central hub of the arena has a weak point. If we can reach it, we can manipulate the matches, protect prisoners, and create openings." Kai leaned over the diagrams. He traced lines of conduits, observing how power flowed and where sensors were located. "We can reroute some systems," he said. "It will take time and precision, but it is possible." Zara nodded, her massive hands brushing over the maps. "Time is what we do not have much of. The Queen's next tournament is soon. We must act carefully and decisively." Every move matters. They began their plan in secret. Kai worked on rerouting circuits, marking weak points, and noting guard rotations. Zara trained silently, keeping her strength sharp and ready for any confrontation. Other prisoners helped where they could, learning from Kai and Zara alike. It was a strange alliance, but necessity bound them together. One day Kai overheard a conversation between two guards. They spoke in hushed tones about the queen's next plan. She intended to pit her most dangerous gladiators against the humans who had survived her previous matches. The stakes would be higher than ever, and failure meant death. Kai reported everything to Zara. Her eyes narrowed, and she placed a massive hand on his shoulder. "We knew this was coming," she said. "This is why preparation is critical. We cannot face her blindly. We must anticipate her moves and turn them against her." As the tournament day approached, tension filled the station. Prisoners whispered nervously, and guards moved with quiet efficiency. Kai felt the weight of responsibility. The lives of those who trusted them depended on their plan. He knew that courage alone would not suffice. Intelligence, precision, and unity were their only weapons. The arena gates opened, and prisoners were ushered to the pits. Kai observed from a hidden chamber, tracing guard movements and monitoring the creatures released into the arena. Zara stood at the edge of the platform, her presence a shield for those she protected. Her eyes met Kai's for a brief moment, and he felt reassurance. They were ready. As the first match began, chaos erupted below. Creatures attacked with speed and power, but Kai had anticipated their patterns. Through carefully timed diversions, they created openings for prisoners to evade danger. Zara moved like a force of nature, her size and strength controlling the battlefield without unnecessary violence. Every action was precise, every step calculated. Kai's mind raced as he monitored the systems. He triggered subtle disruptions in the arena's controls, causing minor delays that threw off the queen's expectations. Guards reacted, but it was not enough to stop their progress. The prisoners who had learned from him moved with coordination, avoiding harm and supporting each other. The queen's attention turned toward the disturbance. Kai observed her from a distance, noting the flicker of irritation in her eyes. She had not expected this level of resistance. Not from humans, not from prisoners. Yet, she remained calm, her mind working to reassert control. Zara intercepted two guards who attempted to intervene. Her massive arms and precise movements disarmed them without unnecessary injury. Kai watched, realizing that her strength was balanced with intelligence and restraint. She was not merely a gladiator. She was a strategist and protector. As the matches progressed, Kai continued his work. He rerouted power, created distractions, and ensured that prisoners could escape the most dangerous moments. Every action was a small victory against the queen's control. The arena, once a place of death and fear, became a stage for subtle defiance. By the end of the day, they had survived the tournament. The prisoners who remained were exhausted but alive. Kai felt a mixture of relief and determination. They had gained valuable knowledge about the queen's methods. They had proven that even the most controlled environment could be challenged. Zara approached Kai, her eyes reflecting pride and caution. "You have done well," she said. "But this is only the beginning. The queen will adapt. We must continue to observe, to plan, and to grow stronger. The next challenge will be greater, and we must be ready." Kai nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. Survival had been possible through careful observation, preparation, and teamwork. But victory, true victory, required more. They needed to understand the queen fully, anticipate her strategies, and be prepared for the moments when courage alone would not suffice. In the following days, Kai and Zara worked tirelessly. They refined their plans, studied the queen's patterns, and strengthened alliances among the prisoners. Each day brought new lessons, new insights, and new opportunities to outmaneuver the queen's control. Kai began to see that even in the most oppressive environments, intelligence, observation, and strategic action could create hope. One night, as Kai rested in his chamber, Zara entered quietly. She stood beside him, her massive figure filling the room. "The queen underestimates humans," she said softly. "They see only weakness. But there is strength in intelligence, in unity, and in courage. You are proof of that. Kai felt a surge of determination. He was no longer merely surviving. He was part of a plan that could challenge the queen, protect the innocent, and change the rules of the arena. The path ahead was dangerous, filled with uncertainty and risk. But he was ready to face it. As he looked out over the station, he realized the truth of Zara's words. Strength alone did not win battles. Strategy, observation, and trust in allies were equally powerful. The queen might be cunning and ruthless, but she had not yet faced the full potential of those who refused to be controlled. Kai knew that the coming days would test them all. The queen's secrets were vast, but they had uncovered enough to begin their work. The arena was a place of fear and death, but it could also become a place of hope, a stage for resistance, and a proving ground for courage and intelligence. With Zara by his side, Kai felt ready to confront the challenges ahead. They had survived, learned, and grown stronger. The queen's power was formidable, but they were not powerless. Together, they would uncover the full extent of her secrets, prepare for the battles to come, and prove that even the smallest human could make a difference in a galaxy. Ruled by fear, Kai's journey had entered a new phase. The arena was no longer just a place of survival. It was a place of learning, strategy, and preparation for the uprising that would challenge the queen's control. With every observation, every plan, and every careful action, he was building the foundation for a future where humans and their allies could rise. Even in the shadow of the most formidable power in the galaxy, and in the quiet moments, when the lights of the station shimmered across the metal walls, Kai felt a spark of hope. He knew that the queen's secrets could be used against her. He knew that the arena could become a tool, not just a prison, and he knew that the station was alive with tension. Kai could feel it in the hum of the machinery and the low murmur of the prisoners. Every corridor, every corner, and every guard carried the sense that something important was about to happen. Zara moved beside him, her massive frame a constant reminder of strength and determination. She had trained, guided, and protected him. But today, the stakes were higher than ever. The plan had taken weeks to prepare. Kai had mapped the station's systems, studied the guards' routines, and coordinated with the prisoners who had skills that could turn the tide. Zara had trained tirelessly, ensuring that their movements would be precise and unstoppable. Now it was time to act. Kai led a small group through a maintenance corridor, avoiding the main patrols. The walls were cold metal, and lights flickered above them. His hands were steady, his mind alert. Every step mattered. If they were caught, there would be no mercy. Every prisoner understood that. Zara moved ahead, her height and strength, allowing her to clear obstacles and scout the path. Her eyes scanned every detail, noticing things that Kai would have missed. He felt a strange sense of awe and trust. In the shadow of her presence, he felt capable of things he had never imagined. They reached a junction near the arena hub. Guards were passing frequently, and the hum of machinery was louder here. Kai signaled to the others. They waited patiently, watching the patterns of the patrols. Timing was everything. When the guards passed, Zara and Kai moved forward. The group slipped into a side chamber that led to a control panel. Kai knelt before it, his fingers flying across buttons and switches. Systems began to reroute, opening doors, disabling traps, and creating paths for prisoners to escape or defend themselves. The station's heartbeat seemed to respond to his work. Suddenly a guard turned the corner. Kai froze, but Zara stepped forward. She did not strike immediately. Instead, she used her size and presence to block the guard's view of the others. With a quick, precise movement, she disarmed him and held him immobilized without causing serious harm. The prisoner group passed safely, and Kai felt a surge of relief. Zara whispered, "Keep moving." "Do not hesitate," group continued, entering the arena hub. The sight took Kai's breath away. Below, the arena was filled with combatants and creatures, unaware of the plan unfolding above. The queen sat on her platform, observing with calm authority. She had not yet noticed the disturbances in her systems. Kai knew it was only a matter of time. Zara signaled the prisoners to take positions. The ones with mechanical skills would manipulate arena devices, creating barriers and distractions. Those with agility would move to protect weaker prisoners. Kai coordinated the rerouted systems, opening paths and delaying obstacles. Each action was precise, calculated, and synchronized. Chaos erupted below. Creatures charged forward, but unexpected barriers blocked their path. Guards attempted to intervene only to find doors locked or systems malfunctioning. Prisoners moved with coordination, using the openings that Kai and Zara had created. Fear turned into action. Confusion became opportunity. The Queen's eyes narrowed. She realized that her control was slipping. She issued commands, and guards responded, but the timing was off. The station itself seemed to rebel against her. Kai's heart raced. Every second mattered. One mistake could destroy their chance. Zara descended into the arena. Her presence was like a storm. Enemies froze as she approached, their attacks faltering. She moved with precision, striking only when necessary, protecting prisoners and guiding them to safety. Her strength was terrifying, but her actions were measured. Each strike, each movement was part of the larger plan. Kai continued at the control panel, his mind racing. He triggered further diversions, rerouted power to create temporary shields, and delayed reinforcements. The prisoners below began to understand the plan. Coordination became instinct. Even those who had been terrified moments before now acted with confidence, following the openings that Kai had created. The Queen rose from her platform, her presence commanding immediate silence. She moved swiftly, issuing commands that echoed across the arena. Guards attempted to regain control, but the delays and disruptions had thrown everything into disorder. She had underestimated the prisoners' intelligence, their ability to act as one. Zara intercepted 2 elite guards who approached the control panel. She did not attack recklessly. Every movement was controlled, calculated, and precise. Kai watched, realizing that Zara's strength alone was not enough. It was her strategy, her intelligence, and her protective instincts that made her unstoppable. The battle intensified. Creatures charged, prisoners defended, and the Queen's attention sharpened. Kai adjusted systems rapidly, anticipating movements and creating opportunities for prisoners to escape dangerous situations. The arena, once a place of death, had become a battlefield of strategy and teamwork. Zara moved to confront the Queen directly. Her massive form towered over the smaller figures of the guards, and even the Queen seemed taken aback by the audacity. Kai's fingers worked quickly, opening a path to allow Zara to reach the platform. The Queen's eyes flicked toward the disruptions. Realizing the rebellion was organized and intentional, the confrontation was tense. Zara faced the Queen with respect, not fear, and Kai understood the significance. Strength alone would not defeat her. Strategy, intelligence, and courage under pressure were the true weapons. Zara moved swiftly, neutralizing threats without unnecessary violence. Her actions inspired prisoners to act with confidence, creating openings that allowed more to escape danger. Kai observed patterns in the Queen's commands. Her timing, her reliance on predictable guards, and her underestimation of prisoners created opportunities. He relayed instructions to others, coordinating efforts that exploited these weaknesses. Every movement was a step toward freedom. The Queen attempted to counteract the rebellion. Guards charged, traps activated, and creatures were released to suppress the uprising. Kai's mind worked faster. Systems were rerouted, doors locked or opened, and distractions created. The Queen's control, once absolute, was slipping further with every calculated action. Zara intercepted the most dangerous threats. Her strength and skill were unmatched, but her intelligence guided every strike. She protected prisoners, neutralized guards, and created paths for Kai and others to continue their work. Kai felt awe and respect. She was more than a gladiator. She was a leader, a protector, and a strategist all in one. Hours passed in a blur of movement, strategy, and conflict. The prisoners, guided by Kai and Zara, began to gain the upper hand. Guards were disoriented, creatures delayed, and systems disrupted. The The queen realized her authority was challenged in ways she had not anticipated. Finally, the queen confronted Zara directly. The two stood on the arena floor, facing each other. The air was thick with tension. Kai adjusted the final controls, preparing for the decisive moment. Every prisoner knew that the outcome depended on their coordination and bravery. Zara moved with speed and precision, using her size to control the confrontation without unnecessary harm. The queen's attempts to regain control were met with calculated defenses. Kai monitored the systems, ensuring that every distraction, every opening, and every path was optimized. The queen's advisors attempted to intervene, but the disruption of the systems and Zara's control over the arena prevented their success. Prisoners who had learned from Kai and Zara acted with confidence, protecting themselves and assisting others. The arena had become a stage of organized resistance. After a tense struggle, the queen's influence was contained. Guards were subdued, systems secured, and prisoners freed from immediate danger. The arena, once a place of fear and death, had become a place of hope and defiance. Kai approached Zara, exhaustion and relief evident on his face. She nodded, her eyes reflecting pride and determination. "We have survived," she said. "But this is only the beginning. The queen will regroup. We must continue to strengthen our position and prepare for the challenges ahead." Kai understood. Survival had been achieved, but true freedom required persistence, planning, and courage. The rebellion was not over, but they had proven that even the most controlled environment could be challenged with intelligence, strategy, and unity. As the prisoners gathered, some frightened, some hopeful, Kai realized the significance of their actions. Humans, aliens, and hybrids had worked together, using skill, intelligence, and courage to overcome overwhelming odds. The arena had been transformed, if only for a moment, into a symbol of resistance. Zara stood beside him, her massive presence a reminder of strength tempered by intelligence. Kai felt a sense of pride, not in his own survival alone, but in the collective effort of all who had acted with courage and purpose. Together they had turned the tide, proving that even in a galaxy ruled by fear, determination and strategy could prevail. Kai looked to the stars beyond the station. The universe remained vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. Yet for the first time since his capture, he felt that hope was possible. With Zara as his ally, and with the cooperation and intelligence of those around him, they could face the challenges to come. The queen's power was formidable, but it was not absolute. The uprising had shown that intelligence, courage, and careful planning could create change, even in the most oppressive environments. Kai understood that the journey ahead would be perilous. The station was tense, the hum of machinery sharper than ever. The queen's presence lingered everywhere, even as Kai and Zara prepared for the final confrontation. The uprising had shaken the station, but the queen would not allow her authority to crumble without a fight. Every prisoner who had survived looked to Kai and Zara for guidance. Courage and hope had grown in their hearts, but the danger was far from over. Kai checked the control systems one last time. He had rerouted power, unlocked hidden passages, and prepared distractions for the queen's guards. Every detail mattered. If even one part of the plan failed, the consequences would be catastrophic. He took a deep breath and looked at Zara. Her massive frame towered beside him, but her presence was calm, controlled, and focused. "We are ready," she said. Her voice was firm, carrying the weight of authority. "We face her not with anger, but with strategy. Trust your mind, trust the others, and trust me." I nodded. He understood that this confrontation was about more than strength. It was about intelligence, timing, and unity. The prisoners, guided by Zara and him, moved to their positions. Some would create diversions, some would assist prisoners trapped in the arena, and some would confront the queen's elite guards. Every action had a purpose, and every prisoner knew their role. The arena gates opened. The queen appeared on her platform, her eyes scanning the scene. She had not expected organized resistance, and her irritation was clear. Commands were shouted, guards rushed into position, and creatures were released to control the prisoners. The chaos began, but Kai and Zara had prepared for it. Zara moved first. Her massive form struck with precision, neutralizing threats while creating paths for prisoners to move safely. Kai watched from the control panel, triggering systems that delayed reinforcements, locked doors, and diverted attention. The arena, once a place of fear, had become a battleground of strategy and coordination. The queen descended from her platform, confronting Zara directly. Her presence was commanding, but she underestimated the preparation and unity of the prisoners. Zara faced her without hesitation. Her movements were deliberate, controlled, and precise. Each strike, each defensive motion, was part of a plan to protect the prisoners while challenging the queen's authority. Kai observed patterns in the queen's attacks. She relied on predictable sequences and overconfidence in her elite guards. He relayed instructions to the prisoners, guiding them to exploit weaknesses. Every action was synchronized, every diversion timed perfectly. The station itself seemed to respond to their planning, systems cooperating with subtle adjustments and carefully executed control reroutes. The queen's elite guards moved toward Kai and the control panel, but they were intercepted by Zara and the prisoners, who had been trained in coordination. The battle was intense, but every movement was precise. Fear had been replaced by confidence, strategy, and teamwork. The queen's control was slipping as her underestimation became her weakness. Kai noticed an opening in the queen's defenses. The central platform could be reached if they moved quickly and carefully. He signaled to Zara, and she responded immediately. With calculated speed, she cleared the path, neutralizing guards without causing unnecessary harm. Kai guided the prisoners through safe passages, ensuring that every individual had a chance to reach relative safety. The queen realized her control was failing. She attempted to rally her forces, but the coordination of the prisoners, combined with Zara's skill and Kai's strategic planning, prevented her from regaining dominance. Every strike she commanded, every movement she initiated, was anticipated and countered. The balance of power had shifted. Zara moved closer to the queen, her massive hands ready to intercept any attack. Kai monitored systems to prevent traps or reinforcements from endangering them. The arena had become a chessboard, and every move was part of a larger plan. The prisoners followed instructions perfectly, each action contributing to the final goal. The queen attempted to unleash a powerful creature, one of her deadliest gladiators. To stop Zara, Kai activated a series of control panels, locking gates and creating barriers. The creature was delayed, confused, and disoriented. Zara approached the queen, using her size and skill to prevent the creature from reaching them. Every motion was calculated, every strike precise. The final confrontation was tense. Zara stood before the queen, her eyes calm, her presence commanding. Kai had prepared the systems, rerouted power, and ensured that prisoners could defend themselves. The queen realized that her authority was being challenged not by brute strength alone, but by intelligence, strategy, and unity, with careful precision. Zara moved to disarm the queen's guards and protect the prisoners. Kai monitored the arena, guiding each action. The queen attempted to retaliate, but every strike was countered. The prisoners moved with confidence, creating openings and defending each other. The tide of battle had shifted decisively. Finally, Zara confronted the queen directly. The massive gladiator moved with controlled speed, neutralizing the queen's attempts to dominate the arena. Kai watched as the queen's face showed frustration and disbelief. She had underestimated the power of cooperation, intelligence, and courage. The arena had become a place where fear no longer ruled. Kai activated the final systems, opening the gates to allow prisoners to escape the remaining danger. The queen's guards were disoriented and unable to regain control. Zara's presence and skill ensured that no unnecessary harm came to those who had been captured. The queen's reign over the arena had ended. Exhausted but victorious, Zara stood beside Kai as the prisoners gathered. The arena, once a place of death and fear, had become a symbol of hope and resilience. Humans, aliens, and hybrids had acted together, demonstrating that intelligence, courage, and unity could overcome even the most formidable power. The The queen was defeated, her authority broken. The station was liberated. Kai felt a mixture of relief and pride. They had survived not by luck, but by preparation, strategy, and teamwork. The prisoners were free to move. The oppressive control that had dominated their lives was gone. Zara turned to Kai, her eyes reflecting respect and recognition. "You have proven yourself," she said. "Not by strength, but by intelligence, observation, and courage. You are my prize, not as a possession, but as a partner and ally." Kai felt a rush of emotion. He had been terrified when first captured, unsure if he would survive a single day. Now he had helped orchestrate an uprising, challenge a queen, and protect countless lives. Zara had seen his worth, and her recognition gave him a sense of purpose beyond survival. The prisoners celebrated their freedom, their voices filled with gratitude and hope. Kai looked around, seeing the relief, joy, and unity of those who had endured so much. The station, once a prison and arena of death, was now a place of triumph and resilience. Zara and Kai made their way to the observation deck. From there, they could see the stars beyond the station, vast and endless. The universe was dangerous, unpredictable, and filled with challenges, but Kai no longer felt powerless. He had learned, grown, and acted decisively. He had seen that humans could rise, adapt, and make a difference, even in the harshest conditions. Zara spoke quietly as they looked at the stars. "The galaxy is vast. Many will face oppression, fear, and challenges. But courage, intelligence, and unity can overcome them. You have proven that, Kai." Kai nodded. "We have proven it together. Not just me, but all of us who worked with you." Zara placed a massive hand on his shoulder. "Yes, and now we move forward. We return to your colony, bring freedom to others, and show that even humans, small as they may seem, can rise to greatness in the universe." Kai felt a sense of fulfillment and determination. The journey had been long and dangerous, but they had achieved something remarkable. The queen's tyranny had ended. The arena was no longer a place of fear. Hope had returned to the prisoners. As they prepared to leave the station, Kai looked once more at the arena. It had been a place of fear, strength, and survival. Now it would be remembered as a place where courage, intelligence, and unity had triumphed. Humans and their allies had proven that even the smallest and seemingly weakest could make a difference in a galaxy filled with formidable beings. Zara and Kai stepped into the shuttle that would take them back to Vertanine. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of possibilities and challenges. Kai knew that adventures awaited them, but he also knew that they had the strength, intelligence, and courage to face them. The station faded behind them, a monument to their victory and the proof that humans could rise, even in the shadows of towering aliens and oppressive rulers. Kai glanced at Zara, and she smiled, not with pride alone, but with respect for the partnership and trust they had built. As the shuttle moved toward the stars, Kai felt a deep sense of hope. The universe was vast, but he had learned that courage, intelligence, and unity could conquer fear. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a partner, an ally, and a human who had proven that even in the most dangerous places, humans could rise, adapt, and triumph. The journey was far from over, but Kai knew that with Zara by his side, nothing was impossible. Together they would face new worlds, new challenges, and new adventures. The stars awaited, and they were ready to shine.